back to Mom Does Stuff, and today Mom is doing this stuff. This is the Brother XR3774, and you should already have it loaded up and ready to go. If you've not figured out how to thread the machine yet, I'll drop a link in the description to the video that goes over that. But otherwise, we are ready to get started stitching. So let me come around and get close up and we'll see what all these knobs do. So let's just talk about the function of all these different wheels and knobs. This knob right here is your stitch selector. It's the one that picks all these pretty stitches here. And you see these numbers coordinate with the numbers on this dial. Now we're just going to be looking at stitch number 2. So I have it set for 2. This dial right here is your thread tension. And you see how there's a line in between the 3-4 and the 4-5. That's because that's normally the tension that you'll want to at least start off with. You may have to adjust, and then certain applications may require you to go with no tension or a tighter tension. But for now, I'm just going to leave it in the middle between the 3 and 4. This is your reverse. If you hold this down, it sews backwards. If you let it up, it sews frontwards. Alright, this dial right here has 2 different functions. When you are in straight stitch mode, this moves your needle position. I don't know if you can see the needle going from right to left, but if you look on your machine, as you move the dial, the needle moves from side to side. Now, your middle position is going to be right there at 3, so that's where I'm going to leave it. If you are not in straight stitch mode, if you're in zigzag mode, this determines how wide your zigzags go from side to side. So when you're in zigzag mode, this little diagram down here shows you as you're going wider and narrower. Alright, this dial right here is your stitch length. Now when you're in straight stitch mode, that's going to determine whether you have little tiny stitches or if you have long stitches. If you're in zigzag mode, this determines how wide from front to back the zigzag is. Is it a really tight stitch, like a satin stitch, or are you aiming for a really wide stitch, like an edge finish stitch? On your stitch length knob, when you go all the way past the 1 to the F to the 0, you're not going to want that because for straight stitching, because that means your fabric isn't moving at all. If you keep on going, and it's a little bit hard, but if you keep on going on this knob, you see an SS. That SS accesses the numbers on this inner dial right here. So if I have this knob to the SS, then as I turn this, what I'm accessing is stitches 20 through 37, these purple ones down here. So to get these black stitches, you need to have this turn to the 1 to 4, okay? I usually leave mine just for basic sewing around the 3, okay? And now, one other thing I want to show you before we get started, because I always have questions about these. On the back of this machine, this little screw right here, and you see it's got a, if you look at it, it's got a weird zigzag decal right here. This adjusts your buttonholes. Like if you're doing a buttonhole and one side is a whole lot tighter than the other side and you need to adjust it so that the sides are even, this is where you're going to do. And I'll talk about that more when I go over the buttonhole foot. So now that we've had an overview, let's see if we're all set in the right position. I do have my tension between 3 and 4. I have this dial set to 3 because that's going to be the center needle position. I have my stitch length set to just a little bit past the 3. And I have my selector dial on 2. So let's see what kind of a straight stitch we can get. Okay, so let's run a piece of fabric under here. First of all, I take both threads and I tuck this one through the groove so that now they are both in between the foot and the presser plate. They're together, the bobbin thread and the upper thread. Now I'm going to take the edge of my fabric and I'm going to put it in here and let the foot down. Now I hold my threads out to the side, just a little bit of pressure on them. You're not pulling them, you're just keeping them from getting sucked back into the bobbin when the machine starts. I also turn my hand wheel with my hand towards me to sink the needle. I don't know if you have to, that's just how my grandmother always taught me to sew. And now we're just going to give it a little bit of gas. Okay, and we're rolling. Now, if you want to lock your stitches at the beginning and the end, you can hold your reverse button down and it will sew in the opposite direction. And then you can let it up and it'll go back backwards again. Okay, so with your needle in the uppermost position, roll it up with your hand if you have to. You can pull your thread out. If you try to pull your fabric out and it won't come, it's probably because your needle is not in the uppermost position and there's still too much tension on the thread. So make sure you check your hand wheel and that needle is in the uppermost position. You can cut your thread, and now you can see that's what the top looks like and that's what the bottom looks like. The thread, the bobbin thread and the upper thread are locked together in between, okay? So there you go. That's how to do a straight stitch on the Brother XR3774. And if you want to be alerted when the next video comes out on this machine, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you back at Mom's next time.